1 minute. No, that's not true. 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes right here. Fail Fast Friday with Morpheus. We got Gouge, McAplin, AI Accelerator. Like it, share it. That's right. We've got Gouge McAplin on AI Accelerator. Bringing you the awesomeness that is happening across the AI front right here. Got 1 minute, 30 seconds. Join us. So many exciting things happening across the innovation ecosystem space. Welcome back, our friends, right here. It is Fail Fast Friday with Morpheus. Yes, bringing you the updates across the innovation ecosystem. Man, we had an awesome week. We really did. I don't know if you caught it earlier in the week, but we had Air Force Gaming on with participants from ForceCon, representing Space Force, Marines, the Air Force. We didn't have any Coast Guard or Army there, but it was truly awesome. Encourage you to be able to go back, not only here, wherever you're watching this from, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or if you're on the Teams channel and following along with that. But I encourage you to be able to go back and watch and listen to that, because the mindset that we talked about with what is happening in the gaming environment, the gaming atmosphere, the mindsets that involved, truly, it was awesome. It was awesome having those experts there here with us, talking about what ForceCon was. 23,000 people. 23,000 people strong, impacting the Air Force, and now not even the Air Force alone, the DoD as well, which has been huge. But today, listen, you're not here right now for Winning Wednesday. You're here for Fail Fast Friday, where we celebrate what failure could be. That's what we do. We got a good friend here with us coming up just in a second. Looks like they were dropping off. Gouge McAplin from the AI Accelerator, up with MIT, the partnership that exists there. Truly an awesome relationship as we get him back here on the line. So, you know, when we talk about what was taking place on Wednesday with the Air Force Gaming team, there was a lot of things that were discussed there. A lot of pieces that were discussed, not only just about the mindset, what happened with ForceCon that took place down at Tech Park San Antonio several weeks ago, bringing people not only just together, but also together for competition across the DoD, which was phenomenal. Mike Sullivan and his team, Zig, Oliver wasn't able to join us, but a lot of those participants were there, and it truly made a huge difference in seeing and realizing how much of an impact that Air Force gaming has had and what that has been right there. So, and this is the mindset. This is why I tell you to go back and watch it, is because the mindset that is talked about and encouraged is this rapid assimilation of data, of change, of adapting to situations, of being able to see what is taking place and how it's taking place. That mindset is phenomenal. It changes everything. It gives us the ability, truly, no kidding, to be able to adapt rapidly to our circumstances and surrounding us. So when you think about what that is and you think about that ability, go back, give it a watch, see what it is. Love to have your comments there and understand what is taking place and what that does look like. And that's really why we bring ourselves here to this discussion right here with Gouge McAplin. I don't know what is happening with video, but we do have him right here on the phone. We'll try to get him up here on with video here in just a second. But Gouge, welcome. We'll go with the phone for right now since video is cutting out. We'll go with the phone. Glad to have you with us right here in Morpheus.
Hey, awesome. Thank you for having me.
Dude, so as we figure the video thing out, tell us a little bit about, you've been at the AI Accelerator for 3 years now, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been 2.5 years at the AI Accelerator, so that is basically when we started. So we started 1 Jan 2020. I showed up just after that, and that's been the entire length of the AI Accelerator. So initial cadre, I'm taking over as sort of an acting director of operations until we get our next one, and been working on pretty much all of the projects now. We've got 13 AI research projects, about 12 active duty airmen, and I have a pretty intimate knowledge of all the AI research projects we're working on, and now I've spent a lot of time working on helping the AI understand, helping the DoD and Department of the Air Force understand AI and really data architecture at this point in our AI journey.
Wow, dude. So when you mention that and you talk about how the involvement, you've been there since the very beginning. I think it was Laz Gordo had initially was the founder of AI Accelerator. When you talk about what the AI Accelerator is itself, how do you best describe that to people who don't know or don't understand that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is the Air Force that we've had a really tough time communicating what we are and what we do. I think people's normal mental models of like units in the Air Force don't really apply to us. So basically what we are is a very new collaboration with MIT. Really what we're trying to do is rebuild the relationship with academia. And so back in middle of 2019, the Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force went to MIT and said, we would like to start some sort of collaboration with you. And he kicked it over to the Strategic Studies Group to hammer out details. And basically what they came up with was a cooperative agreement, which is a way that the government can provide money to a university or other entity and also provide them support other than money. So what we do is we give MIT some money to do artificial intelligence research, and that basically amounts right now to 13 AI research projects. And we also give them 12 active duty airmen full-time in place in Cambridge, Massachusetts, so at MIT campus. And they work, each airman is basically the project manager on an AI research project at MIT in collaboration with the MIT principal investigators and the Lincoln Lab principal investigators. And they work very closely with those folks to steer the fundamental AI research towards Department of the Air Force, which is now Air Force Space Force use cases. So that's kind of the quick high-level 10,000-foot view.
That's dude. That's amazing. So it's previously we've seen capabilities where the military works with it works with academia, and it works with the development of what academia is and what they're able to do. But really, are you there? We got you still? Still got you here. We'll just put you on speaker. When you talk about the times that military has worked with academia and what that's looked like, this is different than just having a one-off project. This is, no kidding, working hand in hand, doing development, understanding what is possible with those use cases and the projects that you have. I mean, it's not just, hey, we want to find out about this specific thing, but it's also that exploration of the entire environment about what AI is capable of. And that's very different than how academically we've engaged before, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So we like to say sometimes we're talking about like the grand, like to go back to history, the grand big picture here is that I think after or during Vietnam, really the relationship with academia kind of sort of entered a weird period, and we were trying to rebuild that relationship. I think in a lot of cases, academia, industry, and department, the Air Force, Department of Defense, just don't work that well together because we don't talk to each other, we don't see each other all that often, and so a lot of what we're doing is just rebuilding that relationship, like I was talking about. This specific method of working with academia, I don't know has ever been tried before. So as far as I understand, this is the first time that we've ever tried to engage with academia in this way, where we put real active duty operators on AI research projects and allow them to help the researchers figure out the direction that fundamental research should take.
Wow. Wow, that's truly amazing, because it's not only it's not only being able to determine the direction, but also it seems like that it allows us to not have the burden of having to create something and make it work for operations, but it allows you to really explore the space of what is within the realm of possible. How is that approach different than when you're just trying to create a capability from what you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really good question because that's something that we have a hard time sometimes explaining what we do and what fundamental research is. So basically, to be a good partner to MIT, what MIT really cares about it is fundamental research, and that means like the real basic like mathematical equations underlying new technology, and that's not necessarily applying those equations to some use case the Air Force cares about necessarily. So all that fundamental research really has to be steered in the right direction and then also transition to the user. And so the Air Force doesn't think a lot about fundamental research because it isn't directly applicable always to the user. But if we can steer that research, we can apply it directly to Air Force use cases by basically transition. We just do applied research. And one of the cool things about being here at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology is that Lincoln Laboratory, which is a sort of like a national laboratory for the government, can do applied research and engineering. So basically, how we work is MIT takes our fundamental research that is developed in partnership with our operators, our active duty folks that are here, and the operator, whoever the active duty folks happen to be. I'm a pilot, so if I see something applicable to a pilot, I can help them transition that for applied research over to the Lincoln Laboratory side, who can do prototyping, applied research, and engineering to actually develop a capability for the Department of Defense. So it is kind of like a full pipeline all the way from basic fundamental research all the way into prototypes for real users.
Wow. And wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing. So it definitely sounds like having the freedom to be able to say, hey, we don't know what we don't know, but we can't just keep on sitting here. We can't just assume that somebody is going to figure out. We are the people that are going to figure it out based on kind of these areas that we've been asked to focus in and focus on, which is really amazing. I mean, that's phenomenal. What impact have you seen with just the few short years? The comments that are coming up is, this is awesome. Kyle Soliday says, that's amazing. I love it. Didn't know that was a thing. When you look at some of the impact immediately that's had for what you can share, how much of a change have you seen in what you have been able to learn, even just thus far, and then how that has gone operational?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a million ways to answer that. We've done a lot of things in a lot of different sort of domains and levels of abstraction, but the one that I'm probably most excited about is steering academia and industry to solve our problems. So the leading AI ML companies in the country right now, in the past maybe 10 years, haven't really cared so much about Department of Defense problems. I mean, there have been contracts here and there, but they haven't really cared so much about Department of Defense problems. A lot of that reason for that is AI and ML take a lot of high quality and a lot of data. And frankly, the Department of the Air Force has data. We don't have training quality or AI ready data, meaning data that can actually be used to do AI and machine learning on. And
Yeah.
so a lot of what we've done is just kind of creating data sets that were representative of Air Force problems. So each of our 13 AI research projects releases an open challenge data set, and that's just a completely public data set. For example, one is pilot physiology. So it's just recordings of pilots like heart rate and pupil dilation and a bunch of other metrics we know that's the first time that the Air Force has ever released data on real Air Force pilots' physiology. And the point of doing that is to get academia and industry to pick up our data set and say, oh, this is actually really interesting and a really challenging problem. Let me see if I can apply my AI ML chops to this and see if I can actually do that. In a lot of cases, what we've seen MIT is really what they want is they want hard problems. They don't just want to sell advertisements using artificial intelligence and machine learning. They want to solve really hard problems, and I think the DoD has that to offer. We have really hard problems that are more impactful than just selling more advertisements.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely, dude, absolutely. Do you think that in that process, it's going to enable us to be more agile in just how we operationalize capabilities? Because I don't think it's any shock to anybody that this process of when you have an idea or you have a capability, sometimes previously, if it has gone through the standard system, it takes longer to get. It takes enough time to get operationalized that it's not even applicable anymore at times. Like the technology is antiquated by the time it's actually in the hands of the airmen or the operators. Do you feel like this process of being able to go through this academic knowledge sharing capability speeds that process up?
Yeah, I hope so. One of the things I think really addresses that fundamentally in a really meaningful way is having operators actually on research teams. And as far as I can tell from our acquisition infrastructure, we are not always so great at doing that. So putting operators in direct day-to-day contact with the people making the acquisition decisions, the people doing the actual research, the people developing the capabilities for the operators. Sometimes there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect. There's good reasons that has been the case in the past. But from my point of view, that's what I think is the most interesting solutions to that problem, getting real, quick, meaningful solutions into the hands of operators is having the operators actually involved in a meaningful way in the research and development of capabilities.
Yeah, yeah. That point right there. A couple weeks ago we had. Are you there? Can you hear us?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, dude. So much better. Oh my gosh, that's so much better. A couple weeks ago, we had Stuart Wagner on. Stuart Wagner. He's the chief chief of digital transformation for the United States Air Force out of the SAFCN office. And what he was sharing was about Bravo Hackathon coming up in July. Ton of participants, man. I think they had 180 different individuals sign up. And the coolest thing about that capability of that hackathon is exactly what you said. It has the operators next to the engineers, next to people. I mean, from what I can tell, is the first time, honestly, that we've had the chance to allow just U.S. citizens to be involved in this hackathon, to bring their experience from their commercial industry and be involved in something that is directly helping to impact and to develop real operational capability during this hackathon. I mean, it's amazing. But that same idea that you're talking about of having the operators next to the engineers to say, no, this is, that's not how we actually use it, or that's not actually useful to us. That is so huge. Instead of just having something developed by the geniuses, the engineers, and then handed to the operator, and the operator says, I don't know what this is. This is not, I asked for an orange and you gave me a bat. That's totally different from what I needed. So what are some of the biggest challenges or disconnects that you see happening in this development that takes place at the AI Accelerator? Because you're very much at the edge. Very much at the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most important question. I love that question. Is what are we not doing so well? And I think the one thing that I always feel obliged to say is kind of the point I made about training quality data is the Department of Air Force and probably the DoD has a lot of data, but almost none of it is usable for AI and machine learning. And the reason for that is because it wasn't collected with that end in mind. So like a huge value proposition of why we're here is to represent the user for machine learning, and the user for data is not the person that the data was collected on. So like the user for data generated on a C-17 or data pulled off of a C-17 about C-17 operations is not the C-17 pilot. It's the machine learning engineer that's going to actually apply machine learning to that data to make some sort of prediction or do some sort of analysis. And it actually really matters that the data is in the right format and is collected in a way that actually enables the machine learning engineer to answer those questions. And that's not always trivial. It's basically user-centered design for machine learning. And and that's a huge value proposition. I think one of the most important value propositions of us being here is being able to represent the machine learning engineers, such that we can go back to the people that are writing contracts for, maybe C17 sustainment or something like that, and say, look, the machine learning engineers don't necessarily want data in this format. They want it in a different format. Oh, by the way, like CSVs are fine. Like Excel spreadsheet files are fine as long as you label the columns in a simple, easy to read way. Like simple things like that are really what we're advocating for, and just representing the machine learning engineer as the user of data is a huge value proposition for what we're doing. And I think the way that we're going to start really solving the training quality data problem in the Department of the Air Force.
Well said, my friend. Well said. One of our friends, one of our teammates at Morpheus, Liz, Senior Master Liz Garcia, she refers to it as dirty data. She's like, the issue is dirty data. That we don't necessarily know how, or we have previously we've had the information, but it hasn't meant what it should mean because we didn't have it prepared or connect in the right way that it should be. And you and I both know, even just from our past experiences together, if you don't understand how to be able to aggregate, correlate, and then truly tell the picture of what's happening with the data that's there, you can draw completely erroneous conclusions if you are looking at it from the wrong perspective. And that piece of making sure that it's right is huge, especially when you're talking about the capabilities of what AI is and what it can be. We have some comments here on the board real quick. Go over to Kyle. He says, Cyber #academia is great to include them with the customer. It only makes sense. He goes on to say user interface and user design is such a key aspect for a product to work. This is so awesome innovation. These are so awesome innovation ideas. Keep up the great work, AI Accelerator. You got a fan over there, Kyle Soliday. Thanks so much, Kyle. Truly appreciate it. Yeah. So, Gouge, when you think of what's coming up, what is most exciting of, you've seen these last several years of development, you've seen kind of the pain points of how to be able to communicate this, making sure data is correct. Do you feel like most people have, well, let me take a step back. There's that amazing book, T-AI, that helped, I feel like helped to be able to give a true perspective, a lens, a window into what, like, yes, we say AI, but I don't think you mean the word that you say you're meaning when you say that word. I don't think you understand what that means for most people. I know I was definitely that way. I said AI, but I didn't actually truly understand what it was until I had a great read at that book. Do you find that that's also the case, or are people starting to more understand what the real fundamental truth is behind artificial intelligence and machine learning and the capabilities of each?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's a huge challenge for us. I mean, one of the fundamental, like, unsexy things that we have to do laying the groundwork is just making sure that people aren't scared by AI, ML. The term, we always say the term artificial intelligence has been around since, depending on who you ask, like 1950s, maybe 1952, and so it's got a lot of baggage. It means a lot of things. The DoD's formal definition is artificial intelligence is anything that would normally require human intelligence. So, like, that's your microwave. Like, you type buttons in your microwave and it microwaves something for a specific amount of time. That would normally require human intelligence to heat something up for a specific amount of time, right? So, like, that term has a lot of baggage, and so people kind of use it. It gets used with all different understandings of what it means. It just causes problems. So what we tend to say is machine learning, because it is a little more specific, although now it's kind of losing meaning as well, meaning all things to all people. But really what we care about, especially if I'm an operator, right? I'm a pilot like you are. What I really care about is solving operator problems. And we should not lose sight of the fact that what we're really trying to do is solve operator problems, not force ourselves to use specific technologies.
Right.
So what I mean by that is, like, you address the problem like you always would. Like, what is the problem? What is the best way to solve it? And if artificial intelligence and machine learning are the best way to solve it, then that's exactly what we should do. And there's all sorts of great ways that we at the AI Accelerator can help you do that, or even help you answer that question. But it's not always clear to me that artificial intelligence and machine learning are the right answer. And the only way that we have a force that can understand that question well enough and answer that question well enough to answer it, to get us to a point where we can have those conversations at the lowest levels is by educating people. That's another part of what we've been doing is educating people on what artificial intelligence and machine learning means. Because if we don't know what it means, then we can't even have these conversations at all.
Right. Right. Ha, dude. Yes. Yes. How many? Just random question. How many times have you found yourself talking to people and you say, we are not talking about the same thing right now? How often is that when you're dealing with people who are coming in to see the AI Accelerator, or maybe even, no, I'll just save that one. How often do you find yourself having this conversation? How often do you find yourself having the conversations where you're like, we're not having the same conversation here, buddy?
Yeah, it's pretty often, to be honest, because people's definition again of AI is just all over the place, and the
Yeah.
new hot buzzword is to say like AI powered everything in order to sell something, right? So
Yeah.
honestly, now I'm at the point where if someone says AI powered or AI enabled, or they talk about they're doing AI, I immediately start digging more. I want to know, like, what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah.
What algorithms are you using? What kind of data do you have? Just start digging in, because, like I said, AI just doesn't. It means everything to everyone, so it's not really that descriptive anymore. So really, what I try to do when people say, to your point, people say AI is I dig in. I just ask for details, and they should be able. You don't have to be an expert to understand. An expert can explain what they are doing to a novice, right?
Right.
Us as operators should feel empowered to ask the hard questions, and if you can't get a coherent answer, then you probably should. The alarm bell should be going off, right?
Right. 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 The alarm bell should be going off. Yeah. Well, I would agree to that. I think there have been several times. That's honestly kind of how I felt about when innovation at the very beginning, when innovation started becoming, I don't know, not just a verb but a noun. I would say that I felt I think you felt the same way as well. People would talk about, yeah, well, those innovations are. Or innovation is. It's like, I don't think we're talking about the same thing. I think you're talking about it more of uh, in the sense of an actual living being thing. It's a clear, distinct difference between an understanding, true understanding, and then just hearing about something. So, what roadmap ahead? Uh, what is the roadmap ahead for what is taking place at the AI Accelerator? And then a follow-on question: do you think this format of the AI Accelerator and how it's set up with academia, do you think that could work for other capability development?
Yeah, both awesome questions. So, roadmap for us is there's a lot of things. So this is really just, I mean, the entire thing is sort of like failing fast. The whole point, we just started really quickly, and the whole intent was to fail fast. So this has allowed us to start a really cool relationship with MIT, and we hope to expand the relationship in the future, and tweak some things that didn't work so well in the past, and expand all of the areas that they did work well. Probably the one thing I know for sure that is working for us, and we absolutely are going to double, triple, quadruple down on, is the open challenges. What we found with when we release Air Force datasets is everyone is coming out of the woodwork just excited to work on our data and solve our problems. I mean, there's every open challenge we have like 30 or 40 different institutions from all over the world participating in our open challenges that we didn't even know were in these areas of AI ML, had these areas of expertise, were interested in our problems. And so it's been incredible to see, and we've got 10 of those open challenges. So it's been incredible to see when, as each of those open challenges sort of gets released, gets more mature,
Yeah.
The communities that they're building centered around Department of the Air Force problems is really cool. So roadmap, there's a lot of ideas. We're sort of in the early stages of planning for what like version 2 of the AI Accelerator looks like. But the one thing I know for sure that is absolutely a home run is these open challenges.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think we're gonna find a way to double, triple down on that as much as we can.
Yeah. To me,
Yeah.
when you talk about those open challenges, I personally think, again, this is just Trigger's opinion. Nobody asked for it, but I'm going to give it anyway. Is the fact that the open challenges, I personally think, are essentially most effective because you have an avenue to assimilate that involvement, that communication, that capability. Like, there's an avenue. It makes sense. There's somewhere for them to go to get involved. Whereas if you don't have an entity that is set up to have that direct connectivity for the long term, then all it is something that comes up. Yeah, we get these results, and then who does something with these results? Well, I don't know whose office is responsible for that. I don't know. It's there has to be ownership. There has to be long-term responsibility and sustainability to it. And that's why when you look at, for me, when you look at the AI Accelerator and you see its relationship with academia, that's the potential for a long-standing relationship and a national hub for both military and military, academia, and industry to be able to meet at. My only question that it goes to is how many other pieces, how many other capabilities could this same mentality work with? Is UAS, UAV, is that a possibility? I mean, is this the format, the new way forward of how we best develop and integrate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what I can see, that it seems incredible. The ability to get everyone else's brain power solving your problems is multiplicative, exponential returns on investment, right? So like what you could do if you wanted to research or prototype something is you could give a handful of researchers money, and the money probably doesn't go as far as you think it does because smart people cost a lot of money.
Right.
And that can be one team solving one problem, and they may or may not come up with a good solution, right?
Right.
The other thing you could do is take that money and spend the same amount of money on developing a really high quality data set and get 10 teams or 100 teams working on your problem that develop 5 or 20 solutions, and then instead of one solution that may or may not work that well, you have 5 or 10 or 50 solutions that you can evaluate, combine, pull on those threads in all sorts of fun ways. So I think the model is really cool. And one other thing is from the contracting point of view, if you have an open challenge and a bunch of people participating, that can satisfy the competition requirement to then just award a contract to those the winner or the winners of that open challenge outright. So it can streamline the contracting acquisition officers' problems or help solve their problems as well, where they have to do market research and they have to find out who is best and who is selling snake oil, right? And that is a real challenging, time-consuming problem. But with open challenges, it really kind of solves that problem for them, where companies are demonstrating their chops on real Air Force data sets, which is like real Air Force problems.
Yeah.
And basically, the winner of that has demonstrated their ability that they're not selling snake oil, right?
Yeah.
And they have a real, mature, impressive solution. So
yeah,
I think that model is incredible, and I hope to see it expanded.
Do you think there's a way, potentially a better way or better pathway, as you're seeing this, of utilizing and integrating the SBIR process that over the last couple of years has been hugely successful, maybe even more successful than we were prepared for, because there was this just huge demand from industry to want to get involved, but then there's the challenge of transition. Chief Brown had talked about that when he went out to, I think it was within this last year, went out to Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley's description, or at least the venture capital companies, were, hey, we would appreciate if we can do a better job capitalizing on that investment that we've made with our startup companies to help solve your problems. Do you think this is potentially a better pathway of being able to utilize or sync the SBIR process and academia together? Or do you think, from what you're seeing, it's better to just leave it kind of open market? Hey, if you go for SBIR, if you connect with us, great. We have the open topics you can get involved with, but those two things shouldn't be mutually exclusive in any way. They should remain independent. Just thoughts on that, because that came up in the comments.
Yeah, that's interesting. Talking about SBIR is one of the things I was going to bring up as one of our failures. Is exactly to your point, the Small Business Innovation Research and STTR were kind of like a victim of their own success. Like they worked so well that it kind of overwhelmed the operators who were supposed to be talking to the SBIR and STTR companies and researchers. And so that was one of the first things we tried. Is like, I think we can add a ton of value by engaging with SBIR and SITR companies and evaluating their AI/ML proposals and helping plug them into the end users. And that ended up being, we had so many people to talk to, it ended up being a full-time job for like half of our people.
Right.
And so it was really just overwhelming. And we only have 13, 12 active duty people. So we really couldn't give up six of our people full-time, right? Because that would just be mission failure on all of our other value propositions. Yeah, we're trying to think of a sustainable way to integrate with the commercial sector. And that's the other thing that we were thinking is the sustainable way is the open challenges, right? I don't know how we're still kind of thinking through the contracting mechanism, whether that's like we use SBIR, SITR, but the idea would be like another transaction for research. Would be one of the ideas of how we do that.
Yeah, man, this has been a action-packed 30 minutes. right here for Fail Fast Friday. And I love what you talked about with just the honesty and transparency of, man, this is an area where we've failed. You can be so successful that you fail. I don't think out of all of the episodes that we've done of Fail Fast Friday, live streaming on Friday, I don't think I've heard anyone yet put it like that, Gouge, of your success can actually immediately lead you to failure if we aren't ready to assimilate the results of that success. That's huge. That's huge. I never thought about that, honestly. What would you say to somebody right now who's listening and saying, "Man, I've never heard about the AI Accelerator. Gouge, what should I do to start understanding more of what artificial intelligence is, how it's going to be useful? Like, what is it that I should do to better understand this? Whether they're a commander, maybe they're a senior leader, maybe they're at the MagCon, maybe they're just at the squadron level. What would you say they need to know as we wrap up this Fail Fast Friday, or what should they keep in mind?"
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say don't be scared by it. You can learn what AI and ML is and how to use it, or at least how to be conversational with it in a fairly quick amount of time. There's all sorts of great, massively open online courses, MOOCs out there. We have a website that recommends a few education resources. That's aia.mit.edu. We are developing lists of MOOC courses that you can take to get better. We're offering education resources to senior leaders and mid-level managers, and then also the people that are actually practitioners, so slinging ML code. So yeah, engage with the community. You can follow our website. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can email our org box, and someone can answer your questions about education, how to get educated. Yeah, just get involved and stay interested, stay curious.
Yeah, dude, I absolutely love it, man. There's once that book, honestly, the catalyst for me was when the T minus AI book came out. That really opened my eyes. It kind of changed everything from my perspective as far as understanding and thinking, maybe, just maybe I should get myself educated as to what is going on here, because this is definitely not going away in any capacity at all. Brother, dude, thank you so incredibly much for joining us to be able to share not only just about this, but also being able to share the mindset of what is to come, what is actually happening, what is the truth of the discussion when we talk about the AI Accelerator and how you can see. So where would they go if they want to be part of the open challenges that are there and capable? Is that just on that the DAF MIT website there?
Yeah, so aia.mit.edu, just /challenges, or just aia.mit.edu and navigate to the challenges section, and that links to all of our challenges. Most of them you can just click through and basically download a data set and starter code and a data dictionary and an explainer article, and you can get started almost right away. So all of our stuff is on there, and we will continue to post it on there as we develop new challenges and data sets.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome, dude. Gouge, thank you so much for joining us. Fail Fast Friday. Truly an honor to be able to have you representing not only the AI Accelerator, but also the genius, the motivation, the movement that is behind artificial intelligence and the integration of it. Gouge will sign off for you, and because I'm going to show them exactly where to be able to go on the website right there at the aia.mit.edu. Gouge, we'll see you later, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Truly appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks to all your listeners, and good to talk to you again.
You too, brother. We'll talk to you soon. We'll catch up soon. Thank you. All right. See ya. That piece, that's one of those things that when you really think about it, it's right here. This capability that we're talking about. AIA, the DAF MIT Accelerator, you can go find information right here for what is there and what's possible. You have the open challenges that, as he was discussing, you can get involved. Probably the best way for industry or anybody to actually get involved with the AI Accelerator right there. And again, I encourage you, not that we have a sales pitch for a book or anything like that, but I would highly encourage you, if you don't know or understand what T-minus AI actually is, that book, I would really encourage you to go read it, because it is going to give you insight as to what the future of artificial intelligence is, what is coming, what does it actually mean. And this is the best part about Fail Fast Friday, is that this, to me personally, I think this is an area where we have so much to learn, so much to be able to gather, but also so much to integrate that we cannot be afraid of failing as we do this, as we have this mindset, as we look at artificial intelligence. And as always, right here from Morpheus on a Friday, as we're talking about failing fast, I encourage you with this. If you are afraid that failure is something that is going to hurt or hinder you, it is only the fear of failure that will truly, truly hold you back. Thanks so much for joining us right here, Morpheus. Listen, we'll see you next Wednesday on a Winning Wednesday as we bring you the news from across the Air Force Innovation ecosystem. Thanks so much for joining us, my friends. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next Wednesday for Winning Wednesday right here. See you, friends.